It's 4:07 a.m. Who is pounding on my door? I get up, wrap myself in a sheet, and open the door a crack. It's Mom. What? She says, well, he can just move in with you then. I'm not letting him back in with me, that's for sure. I stick my head out the doorway. Dad's clothes lie in a heap on the landing. If you two are such good buddies, he can live with you. Where is he? I ask her. Without answering, she goes into her room and slams the door. I gather Dad's clothes, take them into my room, and call Dad. Where are you? I ask. Across the street, comes his faint reply. Walking out on the landing, I see the flicker of a flame in a window of the abandoned warehouse. I get dressed and go over. Ripping off a loosely nailed sheet of plywood covering a doorway, I slip inside the building, then thread my way through the trash toward the firelight. I can just make him out sitting on the floor, poking at a small flame with a stick. Dad? We're just trying to keep warm, he replies in a voice still barely audible. Then, on InVision, I see the holographic image of a young woman with her hand on his shoulder. She's comforting him like a child. Viewed from her back, she looks like an ordinary helper. But when she turns to look at me, I see the indelible dud mark, the slash with the telltale circle, stamped on her face. I speak to her. Hi, I'm Vinny. Her eyes narrow. Dad says, she doesn't talk much. That's what I love about her. I ask him, what are you doing with the dud? He says, with Marzipan, I don't have to do anything. She does all the doing. I start to say, well, Mom said, but he cuts me off. You can keep your mom. Well, you can't stay here, I tell him. I have nowhere else to go. I hold out my hand to him. The dud clings tightly. Come on, I say. You can stay in my room. He looks pathetic as he tells me, I won't go without Marzipan. I pull him to his feet and lead them over to the motel. Sitting on the bed, I try to assess the damage. Dad looks older than ever, slunched on the broken-down love seat. His would-be protectress takes my measure with the eyes of a wolf. And then he brings up all this stuff about Mom. So yeah, he says, I told her right out everything I've been biting my lip over from square one. You bet, I let her have it. And Marzipan was right by my side. I told her, okay, maybe I am lacking a little in the horsepower department. She knows it, I know it, you know it, everybody in the whole world knows it. And then the old guy starts crying. But calling me alpha dog, her killer man lover boy? But then he perks up a little. That's all in the past now. Now that I have Marzipan. And he turns and gives the image of the dead a kiss on her virtual forehead. He's staring at me. I'm wondering, have I done something wrong? He says, and Vinny, then there was you. Me? Yes, you. From the minute you were born, when they put you in her arms and she said, finally, somebody with some balls in this family. And when you were growing up, remember how she always used to call you Chippy? And you know why she called you Chippy, Vinny? She'd say, hey, look at that little go-getter. He sure is a chip off of somebody's block. And she never, right to this day, misses an opportunity. Did you ever notice, when I'm a little down in my luck, how she'll say, "Well, thank God we have Chippy"? I want you to know, son, I stood over the railing on that bridge with a rope around my neck more than one time. And the last time, leaning way over, holding on with just 2 fingers, I looked up to heaven, and before letting go, I whispered, "Help." Now, the way he says it, it's the way a bird might peep. It's that quiet. And do you know what happened? A helper popped up on InVision and asked me, "What kind of help do you need?" And I cried out, "Just a little caring." And the helper asked, "Caring for what?" And I said, "Me. Please, will someone just care about me?" And the helper said, "Okay." And then, like a miracle, Marzipan appeared. The old man puts 2 fingers to his lips, kisses them, and touches them to the lips of the dud's image. "And what about Mom?" I ask him. "I'll get a divorce. And after that, we're going to get married." I tell him, "Marzipan is a dud." "Well, she may be a dud to you, but she means all the world to me." I watch them there, her virtual head on his lap, him stroking the image of her hair, and I'm thinking, well, I don't know what to think. It's morning now, and I've gone out and brought back bagels and lattes. They're still on the love seat, just like the night before, her virtual head in the lap of the flesh and blood old codger. I say, "Excuse me, I didn't know how Marzipan likes her latte." Dad says, "You can joke all you want, as long as she's with me." He takes the cup and bagel, taking pains not to wake his sleeping paramour. I tell him, "I put on lots of jam and cream cheese, just the way you like it." He bites and the sandwich squishes. Noticing a purple glop falling toward the head of his beloved, he attempts to catch it, but he's too late. Staring down at the conundrum in his lap, he's confused. If his virtual lover were corporal, the gooey ooze would be tangled in her copious hair. But since she's not real, it fell right through her virtual image. Now, wandering downward on his crotch, a purple snail trailing a cream cheese effluent behind it. I hand Dad a napkin, and he dabs tentatively in the direction of her curls, afraid he might poke his finger through her hologram face. Embarrassed by the stupidity of the scene, I go into the bathroom, take off my shirt, and crane my neck to look at my gauze-wrapped torso in the mirror. "Dud me?" I call out to him. "Yes?" "My father's in love with a dud. So?" "What do you think about that?" "You mean, what do I think about her? What do I think about her being a dud? Or what do I think about him being in love with a dud? What do you think about her?" "I don't know her." "I mean, a fox like that with an old guy like him. I think she's using him." "Using him for what?" "It just doesn't look right. I know what I see." "And what do you see?" "I mean, isn't it obvious? She's a defect, a reject, a loser, a washout. She's a dud, for crying out loud. And Dad thinks he's going to marry her? What kind of life can a man have with a dud?" Dad Meat turns his back on me. Back in the bedroom, the couple appear frozen in a snapshot. The old guy's napkin suspended over his sleeping beauty, and him, staring at the gloppy mess on his lap. I tell him, "Look, Dad, I've got a lot of stuff going on right now, and I don't think it's going to work out you living here. Why don't you see if you can't work something out with Mom? I mean, she is your sig one, and I got the room for you too. You know what I mean?" But I don't think he does. I leave him and take my breakfast out on the landing. Toward the riverfront, a storm is threatening. I select News Now on InVision. A star-killing update covers a boat chase on a storm-tossed sea. A news thing describes the action. Billy Boyman's world-class rocket boat is outdistancing the Coast Guard pursuit craft as the prime suspect of murder Transstar Show Queen attempts to evade capture. A fetus is shown, arms hugging itself, floating in its own in vitro marinescape. The news thing says, "About that miracle, baby." The other news things say, "Stay tuned for more star killing. News now or before it even happens. Star killing, crime worth watching. And now, more news on the storm." A hurricane batters an oceanfront resort. Trees fly through the air. A capsized yacht bashes into pilings. A satellite view shows a cotton-white vortex covering the entire Gulf of Mexico. A news thing says, "Especially worrisome is the storm surge pushing this already extraordinary spring tide. Fed by months of relentless rain and polar ice melt, the coastline is on the move. No wonder they're calling this storm the Mother Cane of the Millennium." Bloated bodies bob in the mouth of an estuary. An on-the-scene news thing says, "Corpses have been washing in here all night, leaving authorities scratching their heads as to where they came from and why they seem to have lost so much skin." In another window, President Stickman walks past the line of news things on the White House veranda. "Mr. President, there are reports connecting disappearances with skin trafficking." Stickman says, "Look, a guy runs off with another woman, and first thing you know, his wife is yelling he's been kidnapped." Another news thing asks, "Do you think there's a crisis of confidence in the credit market?" There's nothing to worry about there. Our economy floats on credit. It always has. It always will. Look, you're always good as your credit. So, if you're okay there, what do you have to be afraid of? The news thing says, "People say their credit has been cut off for no reason whatsoever." The president replies, "There are always people who would rather spend their money than pay their bills. I ask you, who's to blame for that?" Another news thing says, "With all these power outages, is it true we're just about flat out of oil?" The president brightens again. "I have some good news brewing on that. We're just about to turn the corner. Stay tuned." Another news thing says, "More cases of bid poison have been reported in California." The president replies, "That's a myth. Bid poison was eradicated decades ago. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a hurricane to expect." I stay out till evening before returning to my room. Thank God Dad's stuff is gone. I get a call from Vida. "Stalking justice? Fantastic! We ran it by the autofocus group and got 99ers right down the line. Welcome back to the living." I tell her, "The game still has skewing errors." "Time's money, Vinny, and money won't wait. We just released it to the market. Now, as you know, the president is a big fan of Hammerman, and we're just about to get started on his project. You know we're counting on you, Vinny. Figuring I have more leverage now, I tell her, I need more money. Her image is flickering. Look, I'm stuck in Motel 6 with my family, and I can't even... The flickering stops, but she's gone. I call Ice. Oh man, I actually got you. Hey, my InVision's been crazy lately. What time is it where you are? You look dark. Maybe a little too much sun, she says. Where is the sun? I haven't seen the sun for, it seems like forever. She ignores my question and tells me, listen, Vinny, whatever you do, do not eat anything made of corn. I tell her, everything is made of corn. Just stay away from corn and watch your back. You hear me? Because believe me, they know it too. Who knows it? What do they know? But she's clicked me off. I go next door and knock on Mom's door. Sis opens it a crack like she's afraid of something. The lights are out and I have to look into the darkness to see her. I step away from the sight before me. 3-foot-long chrome spikes stand at attention on the crown of her shaved head. I start to ask what she's done, but think better of it. Instead I ask, why is it so dark in there? So no one sees me. I ask her, where's Mom? Out. And Dad? He left with his thing. I tell her, then you'll have to help me. I take off my shirt and show her the bandages and ointment I brought with me. I ask her to turn on the light, turn my back toward her, and show her the wound. I need your help refreshing the bandage. I'm not touching that. You don't have to touch it. Just squeeze some of this stuff on the gauze and put it over the wound. Okay, but I'm not touching it. What's it look like? I mean, does it look like it's healing up regular, or does it look light or dark or what? It's kind of white. Maybe blue-white. I don't know. Gag. So it's not dark? Well, only where it's scabby, and where it's not scabby, it's disgusting. While she's wrapping me, she tells me, I can't live with these people anymore. They're freaks, Vinny. I try to put things in perspective and tell her, Mom and Dad are going through a rough patch right now. We all are. So adjustments have to be made. Well, you don't understand, Vinny. You don't see them on my InVision. Him with that thing of his. I tell her, it isn't a thing. She's well, marzipan is something Dad really needs in his life right now. But Sis won't have it, and she rants on and on. And with them marching back in here on InVision for all the world to see, and Mom sitting on the bed with the shades all drawn all day in the dark with her chin in her hands watching them fool around in the shadows. Good Jazeera, Vinny, they're just like horny teenagers. I mean, they fool around right in front of her. And her yelling all the time. Can't you hear them yelling through the walls? Going berserk, trying to kick the freaky thing in the teeth just like it was actually something actual, and her foot passing right through it and bashing him in the nose, and the blood everywhere, and then that thing is actually trying to lick his real blood with its simulated tongue. I can't live with these people, Vinny. I tell her, maybe you could stay with friends. But I can't take my eyes from the spear points launching from the top of her bald head. Friends? Are you kidding? After everyone has seen me where I live and everything about us on InVision, including why I'm here because my brother was stupid enough to get skinned alive, so what kind of friends could I expect ever to have when everything about us is hanging right out there? She touches the spikes, one at a time. These, she says. What? These are my friends, me, myself, and I. Oh man, now she's crying and tells me, I only got them because I thought maybe if I changed myself, people might be distracted from me enough to like me. What do you think? Do you think now I could make some actual friends? I'm not an expert on friends, I tell her. Maybe you could find some people you have something in common with. Really, she says, caressing the front metal spike on her head. Where can I find people like that? Well, they could be anywhere. Might even be around here. I don't know. I mean, you never know, do you? She says, really? And for the first time in a long, long time, she actually sounds kind of hopeful.